On November 10th of this year, we lost a man that made his mark on many childhoods, entertainment history, and fans of DC Comics' Caped Crusader. Today would have been his 67th birthday, but instead of mourning him, much like other heroes that have passed in recent years, I'd rather celebrate their legacy and remember the impact they left on all of us. Kevin Conroy's Batman was the first Batman I ever had come across. I would wake up early in the morning at 6 a.m. to catch reruns of Batman the Animated Series on Cartoon Network, always having the lights off and letting the atmospheric score by Shirley Walker grab my attention, along with the Art Deco visual aesthetic, and of course, the voice cast, with Kevin Conroy leading the show. His show was my introduction to Batman's mythos, and what an impression it left on me. I unknowingly always liked the show for being a throwback. It's pretty much set in stone that Batman the Animated Series and the DCAU in general is the definitive take and adaptation on these characters, as 30 years later we're still watching and talking about this continuity. His Batman was always troubled, flawed, and never really let go of the fact that his parents were murdered in Crime Alley, but unlike other Batmen, he actually showed how much damage it did to him. Kevin's voice is very masculine and deep. It's iconic. For a while there, I couldn't imagine anyone else voicing the character because of how good he was. Sure, I saw the live-action Batman films that came out around that time and even before, and I think the one that got the closest to having a cool Batman voice was Michael Keaton. Rita Romano and Diedrich Bader also voiced the character in future animated series, but Kevin was still the guy that I heard when I read Batman comics from time to time. Roger Craig Smith, I think, would be a good successor, but at the end of the day, Kevin is still my number one Batman voice. For years, I always just heard his voice and saw his name in the credits, but in the early 2010s, I finally got to see what the guy behind the voice looked like and what kind of person he was in interviews. He seemed like a genuinely down-to-earth, nice guy, with some stories on him. One of my personal favorite stories is his time as a cook for first responders days after 9/11 occurred. Here, take a listen.
We'd be getting all these, hundreds of meals ready. And this one guy, in the middle of the night, like 3 nights into this, he goes, "So my day job is I'm an architect." He says, "What's your day job?" I said, "Well, I do voices mostly." He went, "I knew it!" He said, "You're the guy who does Batman. You're that Kevin Conroy." So he goes into this dining hall, and this is, the first week after the attack, and there had been like just this somber sadness. And you hear him go, guys, you're not gonna believe who's been cooking your dinners. It's Batman!" There's this long silence, and you hear, "Bullshit!" from the back of the place. And he said, then someone else says, "Make him prove it!" So I thought, oh, this is good. So I'm in the back kitchen, and I do from the back kitchen, "I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman!" There's this long pause, and then you hear from the back of the place, "Holy that is Batman!" And suddenly people were laughing. And the architect who had recognized me said, "What's it feel like to be Santa Claus?" I said, "Because that's what just happened here."
For years, he was my childhood Batman, and he returned to me when I went knee-deep into my nostalgia phase during my teen years, rewatching the DCAU like it was the first time, and becoming engrossed with Batman Arkham Asylum with Kevin in the lead role yet again. It was like catching up with an old friend that you hadn't heard from in years. Batman Arkham Asylum is what got me back into video games, and eventually, I wanted to meet Kevin Conroy if I ever got the chance. Last year, I did just that. Me and my friend, who shall remain anonymous, are huge fans of the DCAU, Batman, and Kevin Conroy himself. We heard that he was going to be attending a convention not too far from us, and we had both money and time to go see him. Due to life circumstances out of our control, we had to go on the last day of the convention and made it with 3 hours left. We arrived and were frantic when looking for Kevin's booth, hoping he wasn't like other attendees and left early. We saw him from a distance with his line next to empty with one guy speaking with him, and as we approached, the guy in front of us left, and there he was, the voice of Batman, right in front of us. I personally don't like a lot of celebrities. If anything, it's a very short list of celebrities that I like and admire, but Kevin Conroy, he made my childhood. He was a huge piece of it. We first thanked him for all that he had done for the character and for his contributions and what he's done for many DC comic fans. And then we asked him questions which he was happy to answer. We talked with him for 20 minutes. It was like something that you would dream up, but there was no one behind us for a good chunk of the conversation that we had. as he praised the writing staff, the mythos, the creativity that went into the show, and the longevity of the universe as a whole. I asked if he was surprised that nearly 30 years later that the show is still being celebrated as it is. He wasn't, as he found that there was a timeless angle to the whole thing. He's right on that, as I think these shows can be watched even now. I asked him how often he recorded when the show first started, since the first season was 60 episodes. He said a couple of times a week when they first started out. When Adventures of Batman and Robin ended, there was a 2-year period where there wasn't new episodes coming out. I asked if he thought that was the end of the show or not. When he did Sub-Zero, it was 96, and then the following year they started recording for the 3rd season. The hiatus wasn't as long as I thought it was. And lastly, in early 1998, Kevin Conroy got word from the creative team that they were starting pre-production on Batman Beyond, and that he would be playing an older Bruce Wayne, which in one sentence surprised him. The guy was passionate about his craft and was very grateful to the fans. What a class act. You know, it's been over a year since that day, and I still can't believe we were casually talking with him like he was truly an old friend of ours. Before I end this video, I wanted to highlight what I think are Kevin Conroy's best performances as DC's Dark Knight. Nothing to Fear, Perchance to Dream, I Am the Night, The Mask of the Phantasm, World's Finest, all 3 parts, as it was a long overdue return. Rebirth, as he nailed pulling off a older Bruce Wayne voice first try. And Shriek, I think, is his best performance in Beyond, next to...
Think you'd want it to be torn down. So maybe after all these years you could finally forget.
Do you want to forget what happened to your father? The voice kept calling me Bruce. In my mind, that's not what I call myself.
What do you call yourself? Oh yeah, I suppose you would. But that's my name now.
Tell that to my subconscious.
Next to the Return of the Joker movie.
Stupid kid. You don't know what you want. None of you ever did.
The Justice League Unlimited episode Kid Stuff, just for this one line.
I haven't been a kid since I was 8 years old.
Epilogue, voicing an even older Bruce Wayne.
I was worried about Gotham. If Batman's not around,
I've got it covered. Always.
His 2 appearances voicing a different Batman from Zeranar, with a more mild-mannered, nerdier take mixed with his usual Batman fare.
Oh, hello, Vilsey. No, just locked my keys in my transport. Sorry about that.
Well, you missed the big story. There's an incredible new hero in town.
And the ominous, mysterious Phantom Stranger.
Batman, I'm here to offer you an insight into your parents' demise.
And out of all the Arkham games, my favorite voice performance of the bunch would have to be Arkham City.
So we both die. I'm fine with that. Every decision you've ever made ends with death and misery. People die. I stop you. You'll just break out and do it again. Do you want to know something funny? Even after everything you've done, I would have saved you.
But if I had to choose my favorite all-time performance of his, it would have to be Mask of the Phantasm. Everything was perfect, from the writing of Bruce and Batman's character to the range of emotions Kevin brought to the table. I do believe that is Kevin Conroy's best performance as Batman. While I was deeply saddened by Kevin's passing, as it was the first thing that I came across the following morning, I hope that he is at peace and in a better place. Rest in peace, Mr. Conroy. You made an impact and left your mark, and it's one that won't be forgotten anytime soon. And to DC comic fans, you'll always be Batman. I'm Lena Mars of the MCA Productions crew, and
till today, now she's gone and we're through. Am I blue? Now she's gone and we're through. Am I